What's up, everybody? Welcome to Theory Unlocked. Welcome back to another week of news, game topics, and a whole lot more. We always have a special guest. It's not very rarely do we have anybody else but a special guest. Michael, have you noticed? It's clearly not Michael this week. Instead, I replaced him just for this week, though. This is my good friend David Carrick Casoli. David, how are you, dude? Thanks for joining me, man.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. So you come from WCCF Tech. Why don't you give everybody a bit of a rundown what you do over there and how everybody can find you?
So I am a reporter at WCCF Tech. Mainly I write news there. I'm covering the games industry every day, Monday to Friday. Covering up daily news. I also do reviews. I'll write guides, but yeah, I've been mainly a news writer.
Yeah.
For my career, I've been with WCCF Tech for over a year, and it was with PlayStation Universe before. Did a bunch of freelancing in between all that. So yeah, that's me.
Always something to talk about, isn't there?
Yeah, really.
Let's get into today's rundown of the show. We're trying to talk about news like we always do. From there, we've got what we've been playing and a great topic of the show, the PlayStation 6. We'll be getting into that and seeing how that goes because we got to predict the price, the release date, and the handheld unit as well. And of course, we always end off the show with a indie highlight. You've got one or two, I think I saw. Yeah, you had two there, David. I think I have one. So yeah, we'll get into those for sure. But why don't we kick off to the news? And you're going to start us off. Guests go first. By all means.
Oh, okay. Well, great. Well, big thing I think today, hot off the presses, is Gunzilla Games, the studio that was founded or backed in part by Neil Blomkamp, the director of some films like District 9, Chappie. There are better things that I can say probably that he's done. But Gran Turismo, that's the other one. Sorry, that's the other one I remembered from today that he did the Gran Turismo film. That studio, anyways, it's an NFT and blockchain-based studio. They made a game called Off the Grid, which is a battle royale that came out last year in early access, I think. And today they were, Gunzilla Games, the studio was accused of not paying its workers, which is huge, and a lot of workers came forward, said that they hadn't been paid in months. And this whole thing, the CEO has responded. But it's a bit of a crazy story, in the whirlwind of crazy industry stories. What did you think when you saw this?
I thought, here we go again. It just never ends. Over on our site, and I know your site's no different. It's always another studio closing, another studio hit with layoffs, and now we get more bullshit coming out of here with people just not getting paid, right? And then on top of it, you add in the NFT thing, which was a craze that quickly died off. So I was surprised it's still kicking at all. And then to find out where we are, right? So I don't know. The whirlwind of NFTs came in. I think a lot of people banked on it, got a lot of money, thought this was honestly the future, myself included to one extent. I thought we were really heading in this direction, right? Some pure ownership of some digital goods, as you can call it. And then eventually it just went away. Nobody wants it in video games. And here we go. It clearly shows that still, man, I was shocked to see. What did you think, David?
Well, yeah, I was, it's funny. Because you're right. We're writing a lot of layoff stories, right? I remember for quite a bit, I was writing a layoff story a week at least, right? That was, I think, in 2022. I think or 23. I wrote every single week. I'd have at least one, if not more, multiple, layoff news hits that I put out that day, and you start to get. It's weird to say, but some of them start to feel numb, but then another one happens and it's big and it's huge, right? And you feel the weight of it still. This today was another one of oh my god, things are real bad here, and when I was looking through what some of the employees said, I want to read a couple of things here.
Yeah.
So one of them, a man named Paul Creamer, he was a VFX artist or VFX animator for Gunzilla Games. He's retired now. Which I thought was interesting that he's coming. Gunzilla was the last place he worked, and he's ending his 20-year career as an animator. After not being paid for the last 3 months of what he did, which I thought was just when you think of the human element to all that kind of stuff. we hear about these layoffs all the time, you
Yeah.
know, and it's easy to get lost. I think for a lot of people online, it's easy to get lost in the numbers of it all. It's like 100 people there, 1,000 people from Epic, right?
Yep.
Like you can't wrap your head around that, so you don't, right? And then the world is all fast moving and everything, and so people just kind of, it starts to become a bit of a numb thing. But like when you think about that, it's huge. And then this man Paul Creamer posted on LinkedIn, Gunzilla Games has not paid its employees for many months, but still expects them to work. I have personally not been paid since October 2025. Some have had their pay delayed even longer. He said that he foolishly continued to work for those last 3 months. And upper management promised that these pay delays, were temporary and growing pains tied to being a new company with a new game.
Yeah.
And like, just when you miss pay once, right? It's an issue. It's an error.
It is.
Other employees said that the CEO was trying to sell them on like working for an idea, which is to me like, the most like, we're a family here BS. Yeah. Someone I saw even said that they were told we're a family here. Ooh. And like, got to try to get them to work for longer. Yeah. Now the CEO has also responded to all of this stuff, right? Some of it's mentioned him directly, right? And but like, most of it's just like lodged at management for not paying everyone. Did you see his response?
No, I did not. Fill me in.
Okay. It's a whirlwind.
Is it that good? Oh man, I can hardly wait.
Yeah, like it's, oh my goodness. Okay, I want to read one part first, and then this is just one part of it. He goes, haters keep making predictions, we keep delivering. In the middle of talking about how the team has been working like, hours and hours overtime. Yeah. He doesn't say that, but he brags about how they don't have a work-life balance. And about how, like, they just are fast moving and, these people are trying to come at us. And, today, like he goes, today there is a new narrative from haters that Gunzilla incorrectly laid off contractors or paid them with delays, which I thought was a really interesting way to phrase it. Because he's just trying to say, like, these aren't Gunzilla employees. Well, you employed them.
Yeah, and now you're just trying to hide it underneath the carpet? Like, what are you doing here?
Exactly. Like, if this wasn't a problem, if you guys are fast-moving, if he also calls off-the-grid profitable, which is a questionable thing. Like, we don't know what their finances are. Sure. But, like, off-the-grid, I think on SteamDB, like, now, Steam numbers aren't everything, but they're part of a picture, especially for a multiplayer game.
They're huge.
Yeah, and I think it had like 3,000 players or so concurrently. Like it was, not a huge amount, right?
It seems slimy. The whole situation, right? It's just a slime ball move to keep himself afloat from what we can see. Obviously, we're not at the studio, but it still kind of sounds like this isn't up on the up and up. There's some issues here behind the curtain that is starting to come to light, and now he's starting to panic.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it does also seem, because he seems to be like, putting a front here of like, this is like, the 3,000 number comes from him. He goes, every single day 3,000 new players join off the grid. Okay. But also if this was a profitable game, a profitable company, like what, you wouldn't have a problem missing anyone's pay. Yeah. Contractors or not, like I've dealt with it in freelance where you have to track some people down, right? Yep. But I think freelance is a different situation than being on a full-time contract or even on a part-time contract. Like, it's a closer relationship. And so like, you shouldn't miss anyone's pay. It doesn't like, no, it feels like such a basic thing that is easy to keep going because you just hit a button and you pay everyone every week.
It should be cut and dry, right? And it's just they're not doing it, and it's unfortunate. Hopefully they can figure things out sooner than later, and the people can get paid, and then they can move on with their lives and probably leave the company. If I had to predict, right? Yeah. But you know what? Who's not leaving the company? People making GTA 6. Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
GTA 6 rumors just popped again because the hottest, most anticipated game of the decade is literally around the corner, David. GTA
Yeah, pretty much.
6 coming out in November. Hard to believe. A lot of people are going, it's going to be delayed. It's going to be delayed. I don't know if it actually is. The latest rumor, though, is actually about the online component because nobody has heard officially when the online is coming. So, the Ghost of Hope posted, who's known as a COD leaker. So he's had some insights, but now he's moving over to the world of Rockstar, and he's talking about GTA 6 Online dropping a month after release of GTA 6. Do you think this is actually possible? Do you think it's too soon? When would you like to see it drop? Day and date?
I do think it's possible, firstly. Like, I think it'd be interesting for Rockstar. I think it'd be classic Rockstar in a sense, to let people focus on the story first
Absolutely.
and let people play the game, right? Before jumping into I think that would be of an older school of Rockstar to do something like that, right? I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's a new school of Rockstar now. When Dan Houser's not there anymore, right? When you got people who were key to GTA, right, who are not there creatively, you know, and then also I feel like Take-Two has changed so much as a parent company over the years, right? Like Strauss Zelnick, you know, is a big face and name executive, like, you know, as a big executive, like we get a lot of interesting comments from him all the time.
Yep.
And especially when you hear him talk about things like Gen AI, like he seems very of one to like, I want to like push things forward, you know, but I'm going to do it kind of like my own way. And Rockstar and like Take-Two and Rockstar are allowed to call their shot because GTA is so fucking huge. Sorry.
Yep. No, you're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, so I do think it's possible.
Sure.
Whether it happens, probably not. Like, you know, is my guess. The online is such a huge factor now. It's, you can't ignore it. You know, it's just a new Rockstar, really. I think they're gonna put the online first in a way that's gonna be a first for the GTA series.
So you think they drop it day and day?
Yeah, for sure.
Really? Man, I hope not. I really hope not. I'm still the old school Rockstar kind of guy who wants the campaign first. Let me take care of that. And I don't even think a month is enough. Granted, I think you and I are in different circumstances here just because review game after review game after review game, and then we want to play the other stuff that we want to do outside, right? So, but to get in the world of GTA 6, dude, it's so huge. They definitely, Rockstar and Take-Two can call the shots. They can do whatever they want. We've waited 13 years already. Like, it doesn't really matter at this point. So it's kind of one of those things, like, where do they place it that's going to suit the gamers? Remember when GTA 5 or when GTA Online initially launched, it was so server heavy, focused, and broken that nobody could even get in. I am hoping they've been able to sort that. Obviously, they've got such a player base already with the install of the online component that they know what they're getting in for, and the fact that they're going to make $1 billion on day one. They don't even need online day one, as far as I'm concerned. Give me a month to get in there, have fun with the game. I probably won't finish it before you drop online. Just saying, probably not going to happen. That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Right?
like to be funny, like to be real, I don't even care about the online portion, which is like that's how much of an old school GTA gamer I am. Like, I really don't.
Really?
I don't need it. I love GTA for what it is, right?
Sure.
Like I am a GTA 4 is my favorite and the best one in my IMO GTA player, right? Like that is, to me, that is where the series lives and breathes the best. And I'm not going to play the online portion anyway. So to me, it's I don't really mind when it drops. But I do think like they've been in, like you say, when GTA Online originally launched, it was a mess, right?
Yeah.
But they've built up an infrastructure for the last 13 years, right?
Yeah.
And I really do think, obviously this isn't how it works, but just to give you a visual, I think they're just going to press a button and then swap over to 6.
Sure.
They'll still have a team maintaining 5. I don't think 5 will ever die. I feel like we're going to have that situation go for a long time.
So old
But
and clunky though.
yeah, you're still gonna get people playing it. You still have people playing stuff like original RuneScape. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
like people like the old and clunky a lot, right?
Yeah.
And they'll keep it alive if they really want to. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Hmm.
yeah.
All right, so you're in the boat that they launch a day and date. I'm going for the month later. I kind of like where the rumor's hiding at right now, and I'm hoping that's kind of where it lands, so it gives me time to get in to play the game, wrap that up as much as I possibly can, and then jump into the online. Because, dude, I will live and die in online for a long ass time, just like I did with Red Dead 2. Man, the Red Dead online component, there's a ton of us. They're still waiting for more content to come back to that game. I'd love to go back on. I've got 300 plus hours into that game, man. Like, it's just
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I love Red Dead. I remember playing Red Dead 2 online with some friends right when it came out. Or even like Red Dead 1 online.
Yeah.
Like, when that was out, and just it was so much fun because it really, like, there isn't a better like Western sim like that out there.
That's for sure.
So,
David, you got one more news article to hit us up. Hit us up real quick. What's happening here with Metal Gear?
well, they're getting a movie apparently.
Damn it!
Again,
Oh,
you
man.
know, Metal Gear Solid movie is back. Will it have Oscar Isaac as Solid Snake? Who can say? But what we can say is that it is being headed up by the two main people behind Final Destination. So that's Zach Lipovsky and Adam B. Stein. I don't know how to say his Zach's name correctly. I don't know if I am. But they're making it for Sony Pictures. They just signed a big deal with Sony. They're going to have projects across all of Sony's, studios.
Good for them.
Like, oh yeah, huge, huge deal for them. And the two had this to say about Metal Gear Solid. They go, Metal Gear Solid was nothing short of a groundbreaking cinematic masterpiece that forever revolutionized video games. We are thrilled and honored to bring Hideo Kojima's iconic characters and unforgettable world to life. So, I mean, it's marketing speak,
Sure.
for sure, right?
Yeah.
But well, maybe these are two people who love Metal Gear Solid, who are gonna try it as their best to do it some justice across like a major production.
Yeah.
But like, an interesting thing to go away with, I think, is the fact that Hideo Kojima has been silent so far.
That's interesting because he's not a silent guy in the slightest. He is one of the most active developers out there. And the fact that he said absolutely nothing, man, it is an interesting time for Kojima and the whole Metal Gear Solid being revived again, right? Now Konami rebooting with Delta. It came, it went, Delta. So Metal Gear Solid 3, my favorite game of all time.
Okay. Yeah, good choice.
I love Metal Gear. 5 took a bit of a twist, right? It was definitely a different tone to the game, everything else, which was fine. But actually, you know what, dude? It's the only game I have not beaten in the series.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know what it is. I can't seem to bring myself to... I picked it up 3 times, and I cannot finish it. I just can't seem to put myself through it. I don't know. But... where are you at with the movie? Are you excited, or are you more on the nervous side of the scale?
Definitely nervous, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe nervous isn't the word I'd use. Maybe cynical would be the word I'd use. The side of the scale. I mentioned Oscar Isaac because I'm not sure if you remember, but I'm sure you do. 5 years ago or so, there were rumors about or reports that a movie was going to happen.
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac even commented on it, I think, because there was some measure of a deal signed that they were going to start working on it and he was going to be cast in it or have a role with it. So he was hopeful at the time,
Sure.
right, that it happened, but it happens with so many movies, right? We hear about them and then nothing ever happens with them, kind of thing. So I don't know. I don't feel like it's like there are a lot of good video games to adapt, right? In this renaissance of video game adaptations that we've had, right? Like,
Sure.
That we can trace back to the Sonic films, which I think is just kind of hilarious. But like there have been a lot of good things. Last of Us Season 1 is pretty good. Season 2 I have more mixed feelings on.
Dude, I never finished it.
I mean, I don't know if I want to say you should go back to finish it, but my feelings are mixed is where I'll leave it without getting into a whole tyrant about
Yeah, sure.
Um, like there have been some Mortal Kombat. I think is actually a great one in a
Oh yeah,
sense because it's just a lot of fun,
yeah,
right? And like, what are you going to do with a fighting movie game, kind of thing, except make it as fun and as like incredible to watch
yeah.
as from a action perspective as possible. And I think they did a good job of that. I'm really excited for the sequel, but
Hmm.
like a Metal Gear movie, don't need it. Same way we don't need an Elden Ring movie.
No.
Um,
Do we need a Zelda
like,
movie? No.
we don't need a Zelda movie.
No.
The Mario movies, I think, are doing a good job of just being what they're trying to be. Right? I haven't seen the new one yet, to be fair, but the
I
first one, I
did.
was kind of like, "Oh, you saw the new one? Okay, so what do you think?"
Okay, so we took my 4-year-old. So we took our 4-year-old with some friends and we went. It is a kids movie. He loved it. I sat back and watched it. My wife looks at me and she goes, "You don't like it, do you?" I said, "Nope." I did not. It was Bowser Jr. and that whole thing with Jack Black. No. It took it away from what we know Mario as. I think as the
Mm.
star of the series, of the franchise, of the games and stuff, and it just brought it to a different place, and I just wasn't down for it. I think Princess Peach's story was cool, but at the end of the day, Bowser and Junior Bowser to me just put me right off the movie. And I like the first one way better. I love the first movie. I thought the first movie was fantastic. The second one, just not hitting it for me. It just didn't click. But again, my 4-year-old and our friend's kid loved it.
Well, that's what I've heard. Like, kids are absolutely raving about everyone who's like, "Oh, I took my kid. It's been a
Yeah,
great time," right? But yeah, it's not. I mean, they're never going to be the kind of. I think they could if they really wanted to. Nintendo could make it be those like Pixar kind of
sure.
animated films that are they're for kids, but they're written by and for adults in a lot of ways, right? Where it's like we're going to throw in deep themes. We're going to have a lot of good character development. We're going to have like things that we want to see in movies that like a kid is probably not going to register as much and like
Yeah.
they watch Rainbow Road and they're like, "That's incredible! Like
Yeah.
that's amazing! This is the best movie I've ever seen!" Right? Because that sequence is a lot of fun,
Yeah.
right? But the first movie has barely any kind of story, barely any character, right? And like there are all these things that we can poke at it for,
Sure.
right? But it's not trying to be, it's not trying to do any of those well. What it's trying to do is be a fun, like time for the family, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's doing a great job of that. I'm really interested to see the second one, to see like how that lands the second time. But
I'm curious
yeah,
to hear your feedback when you watch it. Let me know. You have to hit me up, but
I will for sure. But circling back to the Metal Gear movie,
yeah.
yeah, cynical, I guess, and definitely nervous because I also love the Metal Gear series.
Yeah.
I'm weird. I'm four is my favorite one.
You are
But
weird.
yeah, but
That's cool
they're
though.
incredible games. I definitely
Yeah.
agree with the sentiment that like they were revolutionary and like have left a huge impact on games. You see their influence everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like there are a
Oh,
few
for sure.
games from that era and a little earlier that now we just see in so many other things, right?
Yep.
And yeah, it's going to be controversial. Like when I cover this, I did call it what might be the most controversial, like adaptation, right? Over Elden Ring, which is dumb in my opinion for a whole other list of reasons.
All right.
Um,
What
but
website did you cover that on again?
WCCFtech.com.
There
That's the
we
one.
go. David,
Where
let's
it's
move on to what we've been playing, buddy, because I know you've been playing one game you and I've been talking about for quite a bit, and you're still playing it?
Yes, I have. I have been playing Marathon. I just lit up my TV to make sure that was that was back. Yeah, I love Marathon. I think it's a great game. I think it's an excellent shooter. I love shooters. To
Yeah.
be fair,
Sure.
I do really love the genre. I've been playing it for a long time. I would call myself a Bungie fan to a degree. I'm not a huge Destiny person, but like I love
Interesting.
Halo. I've played a fair amount of Destiny between PS4 and PS5, and like
Sure.
the first one and the second one.
Yep.
But more recently, I'm a waning fan. I would say,
Mhm.
just because like Destiny's impenetrable after you've been out for a long time, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And even if you've played like dozens of hours in it, like I have, when you go back to it, you can still find yourself being like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing here? And how am I where to go maybe a little more than someone who's totally fresh might not.
Yeah.
But it's still just so dense, and it, like, so like that, I struggle with that part of Bungie, but
Hmm.
Marathon, because it's fresh for everyone, it's easy to, like, be here first, right? And, like, be
Yeah.
learning everything with everyone. So I don't feel that yet. And also because, like, I know so much about the game now, but it's so much fun. It's still got that Bungie classic, like, gun feel,
Yeah.
right? It's part of the reason I would still, like, consider myself a Bungie fan. I love how their weapons feel, just, in game.
Sure.
The movement feels great. I love all the different shells. I played a bunch of Apex at one point in my life,
Yep.
and to me, like, there are just Apex equivalents to all of the different runner shells, right? I see Apex in all of them, and I think that's really smart because I've always thought that, well, not always, but I have long thought that Apex has some of the best heroes of the hero shooter genre, like,
Sure.
such a good designed core.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I know it's a sicko game, as what people are kind of labeling it as. Um, but I would put myself in that camp. I love it. The lore is great. The art direction's great, even if though that's a bit of a controversial point
Dude,
in
threw
a
me right
sense.
off.
But yeah, such an amazing game, like, truly. And I really wish more people would play it.
Okay, so this is because dude, at this point, you guys are a dying breed. I'm
Yeah.
watching the marathon numbers, and they're not panning out for Bungie. Where do you see marathon in 6 months?
Still here. I think what'll be really interesting, what'll be the really telling point is season two,
Hmm.
right? Because if you didn't know, at the end of every season of Marathon, your vault, all of the goodies and resources that you've been collecting for the whole season and, like, storing, and some of them you did a lot of work to get, like the end game raid, which is called Cryo Archive. If you put the work in and you beat the boss at the end of that raid, which is an insane amount of, like, time spent and effort spent to do that, and you get the gun at the end, the biotoxic disinjector,
Okay.
it's called, which is, like, the most powerful gun in the game. It's really cool and, great to use and all that stuff. I'll never get it. I've kind of resigned myself to that. I don't think I'm gonna, like, unless I can put together two other people around me who are gonna be way better than me. like,
Sure.
um, but if you'll have that gun in your vault. Your vault gets wiped at the end of every season, so you're gonna lose that gun. You're gonna lose that gun. You're gonna lose all your other guns. You're gonna lose everything. You're gonna lose everything that you, like, work to collect in your vault. If that still works well for the players season to season, right? If people still stick around for that,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a really telling point, because one part of the reason I love Marathon, and I wrote about this in my review for it, is that it's an extraction shooter where it doesn't prioritize the gear, it prioritizes a better gameplay experience. That's every run you have is, like, you're not, like, your goal isn't to just, like, always come out with the resources you're looking for or that really high level gun, right? It's just having more fun. like, like, that's clearly where the design core of it is, where it's, like, encouraging you to always be, right? That's where Marathon always wants you to be sitting in that place of, like, I'm just having a lot of fun,
Yeah.
right? And I'm going to do another run because the last one I did was a lot of fun, and I know the next one's going to be a lot of fun too, right? Like,
Cool.
that's where it wants that's where it really always wants you to sit. That's where the design is always leading you, right? And part of that comes from, it's not precious with the gear as well. Like, you lose it fast, but it gives it to you fast,
Okay.
right? So you get high level stuff back, and then also because you've built up game knowledge over, like, more and more playtime. Like, the deeper you get, this is why, like, the deeper you get into it, like, it just kind of pulls you in more,
Hmm.
right? Because you're like, okay, yeah, I lost all that stuff, but I know how to get it like that, and just, like, I'm back in it, and now I'm back where I was, like, 2 runs ago, right?
Yep.
And getting back to this place felt even better than getting there the first time, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you, like, if you did it by killing another runner, which is great, because then, especially if you did it on, if you have a spot, you go in with a free kit and you kill another runner and you take their weapons, and their weapons were better than the ones you were running before, then, you're all of a sudden you're peaked again, and, like, it's so good at doing that, right? And then on top of everything else, the world design is incredible. Like I said, the runners are all great to use. I have a few that are my favorite and stuff, and like it feels good to play. It's such a good game, like through and through. Like like I can wax on about this game.
I see that. It's funny because I don't see anybody but you talking about the game, at least in my circle, right? So
Right.
but which is it's cool to hear somebody go, okay, this is how it really works, how you get into it. Michael from the team reviewed it for us, and he was mid on it for his review, and it was just kind of like, it's just not the way it wasn't connected enough for him like it is for you, man. Like, you went to another level with it. I think it's really, really cool. So yeah, it kind of makes me, man, I just can't get past the direction and style they took for it. These colors and this pastel, and then the hyper brightness, and then just these weird graphics and things. I'm like, it throws me right off. I don't know what it is. I just, man, yeah, I can't get into it. But I can get into a couple things I've been playing because I just can't get enough of Rainbow Six Siege for some freaking reason. Every night. Well, I know why. It's my wife. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
It is. Her and I play together every night, right? So it's one of those, okay, night's coming down to an end. We're going to jump in, play some Siege, play around, maybe 2 rounds, and I'm like, okay, well, then we're off to bed kind of deal, right? So
when you have someone to play with, it's so easy.
Oh, dude. And then Scott from the team joins us as well. So there's always 3 of us usually playing Siege. Or my wife fell asleep on the couch the other day, and I hit up Scott, I'm like, dude, I'm going to jump in for a round. Are you in? Yeah, man, I'm in. And the way we went, I'm like, oh, I have so many hours in this game. It's ridiculous. What else have I been playing? You and I just reviewed Samson. You did it for WCCF Tech. I reviewed it, obviously, for the Gamerz Theory. So, your score was a little bit higher than mine, 5.5. Mm-hmm. My score was in at a 4. And my biggest reason, which I was hoping, I was like, hey, you're going to get to this point. I want to see if it happens to you. The game fucking broke. Was what happened to me, because I was mid-game and it popped the end quest. And it completely screwed the rest of the experience for me. And that's really what kind of brought me down lower than you, was the fact that happened. The next thing I know, I'm finished the game, and I'm like, dude, I'm only on this chapter. Where are you? You're, oh, I'm right here too. I'm like, okay, cool. And you went in and like, it didn't pop for me. I went, shit, wow. Man. But they came out with an apology today. You see that?
It did, yeah. I saw the apology from Christopher Sundberg. Yeah. And how these bugs are unacceptable. Funny enough, about
shouldn't have put it out.
I don't know. That's the thing, right? But
I'm just saying.
This is like they're publishing the game. They've also struggled as a studio in the last couple of years. They did have to go through layoffs.
Yeah.
Last year, I think they went through 2 rounds of layoffs in 2025. And there's a really good GameSpot interview with Christopher Sundberg where he digs into and is a little more honest, I think. Which is, he's always struck me. I did get to speak to him in February, nice. And the way he answered my questions and the way he spoke when I heard a presentation from him, he seemed like a person who wants to always be genuine, right?
Sure.
Now, grain of salt and all, is in the sense that that's me pulling from just like a few minutes of speaking to him, right? But the way he answered my questions certainly suggested, and the way he is in this interview suggests the same. So they had to go through layoffs. But I think it kind of, because they had to go through cuts, it got to a point where, and this is what happens in a sense, where you have to either put out the game, or you don't have enough money to keep paying people, so you have to put out the game because you have to start selling copies, and this is just where we're at, right? Now it's unfortunate that it's as buggy as it is. Like you said, I was a little higher than you, but when it works. Right, it's you fun. Can see the vision. It's a 7 out of 10. You can love as a 10 if you really are into it.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
But when it's all running, it's a much better game than what we had to play in the review period. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Which is funny because this is where people bitch at us as reviewers, going, well, but you can see where the game's going. I can see where the game's going, but I'm reviewing the game in the current state that it's in right now, not where it is in 6 months. Dude, you give this 6 months to a year, we're talking about Samson in a whole different light. Guarantee it. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. So, the bugs really hold it back.
Yeah.
I did not encounter that bug like you said, where I got to chapter 5 and it popped chapter 6 and then also the last chapter of the game. Um, I got to the last chapter, naturally, I guess.
Yeah.
But I did see another reviewer talk about experiencing that same bug, except it happened earlier to them.
No
Like
way.
it was like early. They were earlier in the game than that, and then they got to see the final mission, and then they
Yeah.
played through the majority of the rest of the game, up until they hit another block, another progression blocking bug,
Yeah.
right? And so they couldn't actually see the end, but they had already seen the end 7 chapters ago, So it was,
Yeah.
yeah, it's unfortunate how buggy it is, right? And there are things about it that aren't good,
Sure.
that can't just be fixed by bug fixes, right? That would all make it a different game.
Yeah.
I think we both talked about how repetitive it is,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Without a doubt,
Like,
man. Those side missions, like they were fun at first, but after the 10th car smashing job, I'm like, I don't need to do another one. I really just
Yeah.
don't. Right? Like that's yeah. So, but yeah, Samson, go check out our reviews, WCCF Tech over there for David, and you can check out ours over here on our site. Then from there, my son is just recently, he's 4. He's about to be 5. Dude, we're Overwatch. The kid's playing Overwatch.
that's insane. Congrats to him.
So
Like, I don't play Overwatch, so that to me feels impressive.
he is hooked right now. And because I got tired of playing Overwatch, I'm like, dude, how about we branch out a little bit? We're playing Sea of Thieves now as well. So we're going out, grabbing some chests and coming back. And then I jumped back into Starfield as well. Because I don't know why, but I did. Well, the new
On
DLC's
PS5?
out. No, I didn't get the PS5 version. I still have the original Xbox version with my save file. I'm like
Fair enough.
90 hours into Starfield.
Wow.
Dude, when
You actually like Starfield?
yeah, so I put 70 hours in it for review, I think is where I was at. Yeah, I was hooked. And then the Crimson Fleet side quest, I loved it, and I wish there was more of that. But now they come back, and now the free lanes, and then the Terra Amata, or whatever the other DLC is too, is there. So I want to kind of get in and experience that. But I've been away for so long. You go away, and you come back, you go, oh shit, how do you play this freaking game?
How do you play this game again?
Like,
Yeah.
fuck, I don't know what I'm doing now, right? So I gotta get my feet wet again and whatever. But besides that, yeah, that's kind of the usual what I've been playing, and some odd stuff besides more other things for review, which are coming up next week. So stick around for that. All right, David, let's get into the topic of the show. Where are we? 40 minutes in, topic of the show. Fuck. All right, let's
All right, I talk too much.
no, dude, it's all good. I love it. Let's talk about the PlayStation 6. I think we're in an interesting position right now for Sony. People are saying delays. People are saying 2027, 2028. Price points. Now you're talking about this new handheld coming out at the same time. 2 SKUs. Now, granted, with PS5 launch, you had a discless version, then you had one with a disc, right? It was a way for them to alleviate some of the price. So they went with the discless version so you can get it cheaper. I don't know about you, but I don't want a fucking disc ever again.
I do.
No,
I like my physical discs. I think they're kind of the new vinyl in a way for
sure.
for my generation, and like it. I love a physical disc. I like having a thing, right? Like, I still keep a physical notebook, and I still like write a lot of notes in that. I like the tactile thing
Okay.
to hold and to have. So I will still want a disc version, but PS6, I'll call it right now, will not release a disc console. It will release an additional thing that you can it'll release a disc drive,
Sure.
right? That you can buy separately, but the console, day and date, will not come with it.
Which is
That's my
fair.
prediction.
That's a good prediction. I like that prediction. That's fair. Because again, it's another thing for Sony to sell you if you're a collector.
They already do it with the PS5, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah. So expect to see it again is what you're saying, right? More or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So would you be getting one? Will you get one?
Probably. Is the thing, know? But yeah, I mean, I bought a PS5 right at launch, which was not something I expected myself to do. Like, January of 2020, right? I mean, we didn't know a lot what was going to happen January 2020 into November,
Yeah.
But if you had asked me in January 2020, hey, the PS5 is coming out at the end of the year, are you going to buy one?
Yeah.
I probably would have said no, because I would have been like, I don't think I'll be able to afford it, or like, it'll be too expensive. I'll wait for a sale. Thank God I didn't. I got it cheaper than it ever would be again. I know we'll talk about price in a minute, but
Yeah.
yeah, but I did it. I bought it right away, as it dropped. I got my pre-order in. I got my copy of Demon Souls with it, and I was off to the races.
Yeah.
And with PlayStation 6, I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happened again. If I looked, because I do think it'll probably come out in 2027. I think that will still happen.
You think so?
Yeah, because I do agree with the thought that, well, they've already bought and have, if they're going to be ready for it, they've already bought a bunch of the components that they'll need. So they're just making the consoles now, probably at this point, right?
Yep.
Like, they're producing as many as they can, from what we know about how console launches go, right?
Yeah.
And how, how long they take to develop and stuff like that. They're probably just making as many as possible, right? Or will be soon, if they're not already. And we're gonna see it 2027, and it'll be way more than I'll want to spend on it.
Well, and that's just it, right? So right now, the PS5 has gone up in price, something that is unheard of in our industry, right? As the console generation goes along in its life cycle, it gets cheaper. Because why? Parts are cheaper. Not in this case. Here we go. Now we have Xbox going up. We have PlayStation going up.
Yep.
More expensive now than ever to get into the console life cycle. At this point, I see a lot of people just saying, fuck it, I'm going PC.
Yep.
And I'm kind of wondering if that's the case now too when it comes to PlayStation 6. Where are we at with price? If the PS5 is at $1,000 for a PS5 Pro, I believe it is.
For a PS5 Pro,
Right.
here in our great Canadian North,
Yeah.
it is $1,099.
Bullshit.
And 99 cents before tax.
Yeah, fuck
Yes, bullshit indeed.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy, it's insane. And the PS6, like, I would love to believe that, because they, like, if I'm going with my theory of like, oh, because they bought the components earlier for presumably cheaper, we're gonna get a batch of PlayStation 6s that are not just gonna be $1,000.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if the price went up again if we see this, because it's an unprecedented thing for consoles to just get more expensive,
Yes.
right? Over the generation. But like, it's just, I think maybe if we get a $700 or $800 PlayStation 6 at launch, and everyone takes it as a win, as it's not $1,000.
Yeah.
To me, I'll be like, wait a month or two, or maybe that, not a month. That's hyperbole, but like, wait a year.
Yeah.
It'll be $1,000 in a year, right? If this generation if the next is gonna be anything like this one.
Do they need a PlayStation 6 right now? Right now, we're getting so much of our PS5 still. Do we need the next generation console at all?
See, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think
you're not
so.
alone.
But if these are like, if deals have already been are already in place, if production lines are already going, right?
Yeah.
Like, if we're going with what we've heard in a lot of the rumors, which is like, no, the ship doesn't stop moving. Things have been happening, right?
Yeah.
And now everyone's dealing with this memory crisis, and like, and everything that's, you can just trace it all back to Gen AI. And it's a long line, but it's there. And yeah, like, these components, I would love for that. I would love for it to all result in a cheaper PlayStation 6, and one that doesn't have to come right away, right?
Yeah.
If they could make a new deal or something like that, or if we can like see manufacturers hold off, or maybe try to make a more measured decision. But I just still think it's all going to go forward. And yeah, maybe this is back to being cynical a little bit. But I feel like we're still going to get it next year. It's still going to be crazy expensive, and we're not going to need it, but it's going to be here. So
That's fair, right? Yeah. So we were talking to Sean Layden with our very first theory unlocked. It was awesome to have Sean on. we look forward to having him back. When we were talking to Sean, he was talking about the parts themselves, the RAM shortage, right? And with the whole Gen AI thing. What happened in the past with PlayStation is they would go in and they would buy a lump sum. But now the manufacturer's like, fuck it, we don't need you guys. We don't need to cut you a deal because then all this AI stuff is coming in, right? So now Sony doesn't get the deal that they're looking for initially. Xbox is in the same boat, but we're talking about PlayStation here. But they don't get the deal, so that puts their price up, is what happens. Because now they're sitting there at the same level as everybody else, in a sense, right? I'm sure they'll get somewhat of a deal, but they don't need to get them that great deal that they initially would have got when it came to like the PS4 or the PS5. We're in a different life cycle right now, as we talked about how the PS5 just went up in price. PlayStation 6 is coming around. Their components now are more expensive than they've ever been, and they're not going to drop them because they don't need to anymore. They don't need to play the favoritism side of things for the big companies like the Sonys to get out there and manufacture their console because they just don't need it. They don't care. And like you say, no, we don't need a PS6. I see a lot of people in our comments all the time. We don't need another gen console yet. We just don't. I'm thinking more on the side of we don't get it until 2028. And I bet you it's $1,200 fucking dollars, David.
I'd like you to be right on the first part.
That's
that we don't get it until 2028.
Yeah.
I would love to, just to have a little more time getting to enjoy my PS5 and not having to worry about saving up for a new console, but yeah, like it feels like I'm going to also have to start. It's funny. My wife and I have been talking about going to Portugal in 2028.
Nice.
And so now thinking of the idea that like, oh, I'm also going to have to pay for a PS5 or PS6 that year, potentially. Maybe. Yeah.
Trip just got delayed.
Portugal's delayed. Yeah. No. Yeah. Maybe my PlayStation 6 purchase would be pushed back a year, or I just have to start saving up now for both.
Well, yeah, there is, I guess, too, right? You start saving, and then I'm very curious to see what PlayStation does. I don't think they want to be above the $1,000 mark, but I think they eventually become there because we're already at $1,000. We're above that $1,000 here in Canada when it comes to the PS5 Pro. And when the next gen comes out, it's going to be more powerful than the Pro, which means it tells me components are only going higher. Dude, we're going to be 12. I think we're $1,200, and it freaking sucks. But I want to talk about the handheld device. You don't have a PlayStation Portal, do you?
I do not have a PlayStation Portal,
but
I do have a PlayStation Portable.
Okay. Shout out.
I also have
a Vita.
I also have two. I have two Vitas.
Nice.
And I would love a new PlayStation handheld. Like if the handheld is cheaper than the console, I would probably be more interested in buying that.
Think so, eh?
Which I think is an interesting, thing, especially if the handheld isn't going to be able to play the new PS6 games as well, which of course it won't.
Sure.
Right? But I do love a handheld gaming experience, and yeah, I would love a handheld. But what do you think about a handheld?
So I'm intrigued because right now, when you take a look again, I can't help but bring in Xbox in the conversation as well because they're both looking at Nintendo, going, God damn it, these guys are like owning this market right now. How do we get a piece of that pie? Well, PlayStation now is talking about coming out with this new design of a Portal-esque experience, but it's not streaming anymore. It's an actual dedicated platform, which does come in likely cheaper than the PS6 at what I'm going to call $1,200. So now you get a handheld device, say $700, $500 cheaper, probably a little much. I don't imagine it'd be that much cheaper, right?
Yeah.
But it's a handheld device, so it's hard not to kind of go, you got to be cheaper than a $1,200 console. But I'm curious to see where it is. I like the idea of a console in my hands to take on the go because I have a Steam Deck. I freaking love my Steam Deck. I think it's a brilliant machine. I think it's fantastic. And not always am I able to play all the games on my Steam Deck just due to the nature of not everything is Steam Deck certified, right? It's meant to be with a mouse and keyboard, and you can't always get that feeling in the handheld device. But when it comes to PlayStation, it's a controller in your hands, and it's a controller when you're playing the console device. So it doesn't matter where you go, it is built for that design. So when we talk about maybe going in a handheld version of it, I feel like we're getting the Xbox Xbox Series X and then the Xbox S version, but on the PlayStation side for a handheld device, right? Which is good. I'm curious to see how many people buy both on day one.
Yeah, those will definitely be people of a certain tax bracket.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, but my favorite.
Or they have the jump on us, and they've been saving for 4 years.
Yeah, right.
You know, by the time it all comes out. But I mean, and it's funny about like, yeah, you would think that the handheld would be cheaper, but there's also the other side of it where people would say, well, actually, the handheld will be more expensive because it's more of a technical marvel to be doing the same kinds of things smaller.
That's
right?
fair too.
So like, you know, we're gonna have maybe the handheld is what's 1,200 and the console is just $1,000. Like, you know,
maybe, right?
We'll see where we end up. I don't have a Steam Deck. I almost bought a Steam Deck for a long time, but then I got an ROG Xbox Ally X.
Nice.
I got the chance to review that over at WCCF Tech, and so that's become my handheld PC thing. And I love it. It's it is a great experience when you're playing, right? When you're like in the moment of it. It's awesome. And then like maybe you exit that game and you want to like play something else, and then all of a sudden you're reminded that this is not a console at all. This is just a computer. And it's also more annoying to deal with. The computer side of it is more annoying to deal with because you have touchscreen and thumbsticks. You can plug a mouse and keyboard in, but
who does that?
Who does that? Yeah, like exactly. Who does that? And then at least that's how I feel about it as well. And like, yeah, it just becomes like a much bigger deal that like, oh, this isn't a console and it gets in your way more.
Yeah.
And that just sucks about it. But I would hope a PlayStation version would just feel like a handheld PlayStation. That would be, perfect. I'm good.
So I had the Vita back in the day. Rest in peace, the Vita. Dude, it was a brilliant machine. I fucking loved it. Yeah, right? And it quickly died. Didn't have much of a life, but either way, it was an indie darling because that's where you found a lot of the indies were over on that side of things. But if you can just pick up Ghost of Yotei and then transfer the save file through the cloud back to the device, and you have it downloaded on machine so it runs smoother than you're not relying on the streaming aspect of it all. Yeah. That would be fantastic. Or there's be certain games I probably play more on the handheld version, only at night. Maybe so often I'll grab my Portal and we'll go to bed, and instead of like doom scrolling through my phone, I'll grab the Portal and I'll play some baseball. I'll play MLB The Show. So I'm still running my Road to the Show character, right? So I'll play a couple rounds of that and go from there. But again, from that to the bigger screen, though, it's just, man, I just want to be able to take it on the go. That's why Nintendo does it so well. Because it's just, you dock it, and then you fuck off, and you go wherever you want to go with it, and you can keep playing. I'm like, man, you guys got it right. So what if, David, what if we have a dock for this new handheld from PlayStation as well, that we no longer need a PS6 per se. We just dock this thing as an extra. It'll be an extra because they won't bundle it in. We all know that. It'll be an extra, right? It would be an extra. Yeah. But it would be an interesting take, right?
If that were the case, then yeah, I'd probably just buy the handheld. You know? And then the dock like acts as an eGPU, presumably or hopefully, right? Like and then I can just play it on my TV, right? Like and have no problem, and then do the same thing with the Switch. I would probably love that, and never look back.
See, buddy, my kid's leaving. Yeah. I don't know. 2 SKUs, 2 different models. I think so. Now, really, when you take a look at it, we're gonna have a PlayStation 6, one with a disc. You don't think it's coming with a disc at all?
No, I don't. And it's funny to, now I realize I said I love physical copies of stuff, and I do, and I always will. But if I were to buy that handheld PS5, PS6, digital. That dock, I would never have a physical anything with it.
Yeah.
But
so here's where things get a little messy, though, right? If you're gonna get the handheld device, and then you get the PlayStation 6, and then you get one with a disc, and then you get one without a disc drive, that muddies the waters, because it was confusing as hell even when Xbox launched the Series X and the Series S, and a lot of the you walk into the mom and pop shop and grandma goes in and she's looking for something and she hasn't got a clue. All of a sudden there's 2 SKUs, but it's the same box. What are you talking about? So like PlayStation, I want to say smarter than that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, maybe, hopefully, right? We'll see. Like, you're not the average parent in the sense that, like, you walk
No.
in to an EB Games, right, or something like that, or like, you know, like a Video Games Plus or whatever,
Sure.
right? You know what you're looking for, right? And you know if your kid wants something, like it's already on your radar, right?
Yeah.
My parents, and I know a lot of other parents, are not like that, right?
Yeah.
Like they will still probably mess up what they're looking for even after being explicitly told what they were looking for, you know, because they don't know the world, right? Like that's
Yeah.
and like you said, like the Xbox Series X and S, like, you know, were confusing messages, I think, for parents to you know, to take and to like try to figure their way through, because they don't know anything about video games, but they know their kid wants this, and so they're trying to, you know,
This one's
do
cheaper.
that.
Why wouldn't you go this way? It's the same thing. It runs both, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure.
You know, like I worked at EB Games for a time, right?
Nice.
And before I mean, you know, thank God for the people that had to explain what a Series X and a Series S was, right?
Yeah.
To people. But even before that, I was one of those people having to explain the difference between an Xbox One, an Xbox One S, and an Xbox One X. You know, like
Yeah.
I was doing that. So like, it really happens. You get people that are just confused, right, about what to buy, and you get people messed up, right?
Yeah.
Like, messaging and marketing matters for all those reasons, to send a clear message.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So your prediction then for the PS6 is next year.
Probably, unfortunately, but yes.
Price point? What are you thinking?
I'm going to be optimistic, not cynical,
Yeah.
and I'm going to say $7.99 Canadian.
Oh shit. Okay.
That's optimistic.
Handheld then in this case, same day as the PlayStation 6.
$5.99.
$5.99. Ooh, wow. Look at
It'd
you
be
go.
cheaper for sure.
Man.
You know, or actually no, $6.99. It would be $700. It wouldn't be that much. It wouldn't be that much cheaper. It'd just be $100.
Well, you figured, look at the price of the Portal when it first came out, right? And it didn't even, like, it streamed games, and that's all it did. And it came at a pretty good price.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going 2028. I'm still going $1,200. I think we're $1,200 for this fucking thing, as much as I don't want it to be. I think that's where we're at. And then I think you're going to get the handheld at $8.99.
I mean, yeah, probably.
Right.
I feel like you're the realistic, and I'm the and I'm the one living in fantasy
The
land.
hopeful. The hopeful.
Yeah.
For sure.
Taking the hopium.
Yeah. That man. Yeah, we'll see, because like they've said literally nothing on this. Mark Cerny's come out and said, "Yeah, we're working on this, that, and the other." But we really have very little knowledge about what the device is. Where do you stand? We were talking about Steam Deck. Where do you stand with the Steam Machine?
Steam Machine, I think, is a cool device. I feel like if you're someone who's, you know, if you're like us, if you're an enthusiast, if you have all the consoles already, or if you have at least more than one console already, right? And you have a console and a PC, right? Like, if you're that person already, I'm not sure, like, this is really going to be, even though it's for those kinds of enthusiasts, with the price of everything else going up, you know, I think people are going to have a more difficult, like, you know, ask. It's going to be a more difficult ask for people to like, find a way to say, I need a Steam machine on top of potentially already having a PC, and on top of already having, like, you know, a PlayStation or an Xbox or a Switch, right? Switch 2, you know. I think a Steam machine, though, ultimately is just like a great, if you're brand new, if you're fresh coming into games, why would you buy anything else? Buy a Steam machine. Unless you really want to play Nintendo games, like, you know, like there's, like, yeah, like, unless you're so super diehard on exclusives, right?
Sure.
Steam machine is just probably going to be the perfect device for a lot of people, you know. And if you're a maligned enthusiast, if you're like, you know, if you had an Xbox and all you've had is an Xbox and you're pissed about where Xbox has been going, get a Steam machine. You're probably going to be fine after that.
Yeah.
Right?
Because they're going everywhere, right? Like, they're not slowing down. Asher Sharma hasn't really said much about exclusives, I'm curious to see. Oh, like, have they said Fable's PS5? Have they come out and said that yet?
No.
They did, eh? Okay, so
Yeah,
that
Fable's
one's
coming to PS5.
locked. So that one's locked in then. But I'm curious, will they pull back?
Sure.
You
I
looking
wanna
it
check
up?
that
Yeah.
now.
I was on the fence, so I didn't want to put myself on the line. I got enough shit on my
I'll put
own as
myself
it
on the
is.
line, but I'm pretty sure I'm right.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Do you think Xbox will pull it back? Because a lot of people are like, well, why do I need an Xbox?
Well, an Xbox, like buying an Xbox nowadays, there's almost no point in doing one, especially if you maybe already have a computer that you were thinking of. What would this take to upgrade to a gaming PC if you're going down that line already? Yeah. You don't need an Xbox 100%. Also, yes, Fable is confirmed for PS5.
It is.
That was confirmed at the Xbox Developer Direct earlier this year.
Right. So then you don't need an Xbox.
You don't. Like, there are no exclusives, right?
No.
And as much as, they're anti-consumer, really, like, at the end of the day, exclusives are what sell the hardware in the first place. It's always how that's worked. Nintendo is proof every day that it can still work like that, and that it does still work like that.
Zelda, Mario.
Like, I know exactly, right? Like, I know Switch 2 sales aren't. I mean, there was a massive, year last year for them, right? And then the price of living is affecting Switch 2 and all the ways it's affecting the rest of the industry's sales. Like, you look at Circana's numbers from November, and it was the worst November for console sales in the last 30 years or something like that at the time. So hardware is taking a hit for sure, but that's just because everything entertainment is taking a hit right now, right? People are spending less on the things that they can't afford to not spend on.
Sure.
I don't know if that's even right what I just said.
No,
sense.
like everything else has gone up, right? So you got to cut the price somewhere, and where do you do that? You do it in your hobbies, and you do it. A lot of people don't. That's just money management. That's a whole other topic, though. But when you should cut back, right, is like, hey, you know what? I don't really need an Xbox. Perhaps maybe my PC can run everything through Game Pass. Go that way, right?
Maybe I can stream everything.
Yeah,
right.
Well, that's just it. So, like, I find Xbox right now in a weird position. What are they going to do? I want to see what Asha really kind of pushes forward with the brand and bringing back, like, they want to bring back the return of Xbox. Well, then what the fuck does that mean? Because nobody really knows shit right now. And everybody over there seems pretty confused after Phil and Sarah have left, which was on a spur of the moment. That's, again, for another show. But it's just, why an Xbox? You take a look at PlayStation. Where are you buying Spider-Man right now? PC. Miraculously, like PC is still on PC, the first one, and then did 2 ever make it? I don't think 2 ever made it to PC, right?
2 did make it.
It did make it.
Yeah,
okay,
all the Spider-Man games are made it. Demon Souls never made it.
God of War made it. God of War is there.
1 and Ragnarok.
Ragnarok's there. Ghost of Yote's not coming. Wolverine's not coming. They're now starting to pull back, going, you know what? Screw you. You guys need to come to PlayStation. You want these. So Nintendo never wavered. PlayStation tests the waters. Xbox is like, here, have it. So
everything is, if it's on Xbox, it's also on PC. That's it.
Yeah, PC and mostly PS5. All right, like Starfield just came to PS5. So yeah, interesting times when it comes to all this stuff. This has been a great show, but we always wrap up with some indie highlights. There's always indies out there looking to showcase their games. Why? Because there's 1,000 of them dropping every fucking day, and they need to be highlighted once in a while, right? So this is what we like to do when we end off the show. So before we said goodbye to everybody, what indie game are you talking about today?
So I'm talking about a couple that I picked. One of them is from, speaking of a bunch of indie games dropping every day, today was the Triple I Showcase, which I'm sure you saw. And so there were a lot of indie games announced today. But one of them from that show, which I'll mention quickly just because I can't really say a lot about it. It's just a brand new announcement called Prove You're Human by Sunset Visitor. Sunset Visitor are the people behind 1000 Times Resist. It is a narrative game from 2024 that came to all consoles in 2025. It was on Switch before that. I love this game. I love 1000 Times Resist. I think it's probably one of the best narrative experiences you can have in a video game ever, which is crazy. High praise. Sounds hyperbolic. To me, I think it's more than accurate. It's such a great game. I love it so much, and so I'm very excited to see what they do next.
They're from Vancouver, right?
They're from Vancouver, exactly. They're also
Yeah.
Canadian, which is really cool.
Yep.
And yeah, they're a really great team. And Prove Your Human looks amazing. Truly, it's about AI. I'd recommend people. I'd recommend you just look up the trailer and watch it yourself.
Sure.
Even just saying it's about AI feels already too much. You should just like let the experience of it, and like because you'll get the tone and stuff right from the trailer, and you'll see why it looks so cool and interesting right away, I think. But the other game that I'm talking about today is Croak. Now you interviewed Max.
Yep.
Yes, Petrov.
Yep.
From Woodrunner Games.
Yeah.
Yes, they're based in Montreal.
Very cool.
So your listeners and viewers, I guess, because this is going to be a YouTube video again. Reminding myself.
Yeah.
They've already heard a bunch about Croak. Precision platformer, kind of Frog Celeste. It was like a shorthand way of explaining it.
Yeah.
If you needed to give someone an elevator pitch, it's good enough. But I think the platforming feels great. I played this as part of, I did a roundup for Steam Next Fest, and I played this during that, and damn, what a good platformer. I love my platformers, and
Fair.
Croak is just awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. And that tongue mechanic too.
Oh,
the grapple
so
mechanic
cool.
is with this tongue. Yeah, it is very, very cool. Yeah. So yeah, I interviewed them. You interviewed them as well, so you can go check out your interview or go check out mine. Either way, you got two options. So yeah, double the pleasure. I've got one game I wanted to highlight because it's Warren Spector's back, and I couldn't freaking believe it. I'm like, man, Warren Spector, I haven't heard him in a long ass time. So Other Side Entertainment is his new studio, and I'm such a stealth fan. Thick as Thieves is his next game. Him and the team over there. And it is a stealth game where you're going in, and it's got some verticality and stuff like that. We've seen a little bit of the trailer. That's all I can really say. Go check out the trailer. I'll leave it at that. But the game is cool. You go out there and you steal a bunch of shit, and you can do it co-op too, which is even one of the best parts about it. Is you work together to go steal this stuff, and then you make it back and try and get out with the loot, and then from there you got a home base and stuff like that. You're going to be able to upgrade and things like that, and then skills and all other things you can learn. So if you're into stealth games, definitely take a look at Thick as Thieves. It is something that's been on my radar for a while, and when anybody talks about stealth stuff, my ears just perk up. So that's kind of, it's been a highlight for me. And it's Warren Spector, the guy from Deus Ex. Like, dude.
Yeah, and Thief. Like, this is, one of the OGs of
absolutely
of stealth games and stuff like that. What did you think? Because so you've been following this game, I'm sure you heard this. A couple weeks ago, Warren Spector came out and said, so Thick as Thieves was supposed to be a PvPvE game, right? So you'd have other players to contend with, but they took out the PvP. It's just PvE. It's co-op, and you're facing against AI-controlled enemies, and it's it's just a co-op game like that. What did you think about that change?
I'm disappointed because I think that adds a higher stake to the heist, right? Instead, now you're just going up against NPCs, and NPCs. Did you ever play Hood Outlaws and Legends?
No, but I've heard a lot about Hood.
Damn it. Yeah. Okay. It was so good. But it introduced your team of 4 outlaws, and you would go out and you would rob a chest and then come back, right? But you'd be faced against another team. So there's pressure. There's pressure on you to get there, to get the chest, and then to defend it. That's what Thick as Thieves is missing now after they took out the PvP side of the game. If you look at Arc Raiders, okay?
Right.
So what they did the opposite, and they introduced PvP. And because of that, the game is successful. If they didn't have that PvP element, I think it's a whole different game. And I think that's where Thick as Thieves is at now. And I wonder if they'll eventually go, man, maybe we should have another game mode where it is PvPvE. Because that it intensifies the heist, basically is what it is. Because right now, man, you play a stealth game, as much fun as it is, you can outsmart the NPCs. Right?
100%.
So going up against somebody, there's another element of risk. That's what it's going to be missing. What did you think? Anything?
I mean, it's interesting because so one of the reasons coming back to Marathon, one of the reasons I like Marathon is like when you play a solo run in Marathon, it feels like a stealth game. It feels like a stealth horror game, right? Where you're like you're on edge for every sound and things like that, right? Like your every footstep, you're like, oh my god, what's happening? Like I've had more than a few fights in Marathon where it was drawn out over minutes of neither of us really moving all that much because we both suddenly became aware that there was another person around us, and so we're both
Yeah.
trying to get the the angle, and we're moving slowly, and like those kinds of stealth encounters where you're trying to out sneak another person, like those are really tense and really fun to play, right? So it's in thick as thieves losing that, right? Yeah, a lot of players are like probably going to be like yourself, where it's like, oh, I would have liked to still have that PvP, but none of us have played it yet because it's still coming. So
Yep.
we'll see, right? What other side and what Warren Spector said was that they found they were having more fun playing PvE, right? Which is an interesting thing I think to always
they're
hear from
old.
developers because it's like, well, maybe you guys just have different tastes,
I'm old too,
you
though.
know? Right? Yeah. So we'll see. And it's funny, like, because yeah, I remember Patrick Sunderland talking about how, or not Patrick Sunderland, I think it was someone else, how they took out the PvP elements of Arc Raiders while they were testing it, right?
Yeah.
And people just got bored, and it wasn't working as well, and then they put PvP back, and that's what really changed everything around, and it's a huge hit, right? But even within Arc Raiders, there's a huge segment of players. I am one of them who does not engage with PvP.
Me
right?
either. Me either.
You know.
But there's that element there, though, of you could get screwed with all of your loot, but you go in and I've had some of the most amazing encounters in Arc Raiders that I've never experienced in any other game. Just running into people, and next thing you know, I was taking on a Bastion, and I was still pretty early, and I'm firing at this thing, and I'm trying to dodge it, and next thing you know, there's bullets come flying from another direction. I'm like, oh, fuck. Am I about to get screwed? Dude came over, helped me out. I took my stuff. He took a bit of stuff. We said hi. We said goodbye. And we bailed out. And then we get to the extraction. Dude's there again. We're like, yo, what's up? Not much. Ready to go? Yep. And away we went. I'm like, oh, man, this shit is cool. And we were talking to other people. Yo, have you seen the apricots? Where are those apricots? I'm like, oh, they're over here. And away they go over there. Oh, man, it's just... But Thick as Thieves, to introduce something along that line, man, like, they had it. But so I'm now a little nervous. People are just going to get bored of the game and just move on, right? Once you beat that heist, how many times do you want to do that same heist? That's going to be over and over and over and become repetitive because there is no other human element to it that's going to throw your game off.
Yeah. Like, on the marathon side of things, you have PvP as this like intense, like actual competitive fight between you and another player, right? And that's always going to be fun because, there are a million PvP games that are always a lot of fun to play, right?
Yeah.
And then on the Arc Raider side of things, you have that incredible co-op experience with a random person who you're never going to meet again, right?
So
who
cool.
was just like, oh, I know where that is. Like, I've had so many Arc Raiders games where, someone's like, hey, I'm looking for this. Can you help? Oh, yeah, right here, right? Or, I'll just walk over there, right? And I've done that for other people, right? Or like, oh, I see this guy's like dying because he's fighting a leaper and, it's really getting him. I'm going to go help him out. I'm going to drop him a self-revive, right? Or I'm going to pick him up with a syringe. Like, you know what I mean? I love that part of it too.
Games are cool, man.
And that, and you get either one with the other player experience, with the PvP experience. But if you don't have another player in there at all, right? If it's just you and your partner trying to work, unless the NPCs and unless like the design of everything is going to be so good that you're going to spend hours and hours of still figuring out new ways to do something, it might have a shorter lifespan.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's my fear. We'll see what happens. No official release date yet, so we're still kind of holding back and waiting on that as they kind of continue to work on that. But man, Warren Spector's back. Fucking love it.
You'd think that he'd be able to put something really interesting together. All right, so we'll see.
Absolutely. David, dude, we've had you for over an hour, man. Let's wrap this up. I appreciate you hanging out with me for this time. It's so nice to catch up, dude. I know you're not that far away from me, but man, just to hop on the line and hang out,
Yeah.
been an absolute pleasure. Where can people find you one more time before we go?
Well, firstly, thanks so much for having me, Drew. This has been great. It's been a lot of fun. People can find me on Blue Sky, social wise. You know, I'm there. I'm Sly Bowser on everything, but I'm only really using Blue Sky.
Okay.
And then you can find all my work all my work right now at WCCFtech.com. If you want to check out some other things, you can check out Lost in Cult. I always like shouting them out because they're a really good publication. I wrote a couple articles for some of their books. Lost Volume 2 and Volume 4 of Lock On. And then they also have another book called Mansion that they did with Fan Gamer, and I wrote a couple pieces in that. And then everything else, magazine wise, I could shout out, has shut down, which is, you know, there's nowhere to get it, which is just a symptom of being in media for more than a year, seemingly, you know. But yeah, that's where you can find all my stuff, and go check out Lost and Called. They're really cool.
Awesome. Once again, everybody, thank you for watching. That's David. I'm Drew. We'll see you next week on Theory Unlocked.